documentation, you want to go to the video of the how to create a pipe pool?
Yep. So we can do that again, for demo purposes, but this is kind of just showing the full flow of you going through our entire protocol. You would simply go to our liquid agent. That'll be app.liquidagent.ai. You can find that in our data page. You would simply connect your wallet, and then you would go ahead and select your chain, which is Pulse Chain. Again, it is a multi-chain agent. You will then generate your validator keys. And it will do that. It'll prepare your keys. And then like normal, if you have created a validator through that process, you need to put in a password. So for demo purposes, I'll put in password and boom, there are your keys. These are your keys, not your coins. So we give you these keys. We do not store this information. You have full control of your keys. Again, if you're not technical enough, we will just simply host on your behalf. But again, you can bring your own validator. You can generate the keys, take these keys and put it on your own validator or your own cloud and do it yourself. But if you want to go through the hassle, you can simply come to us and do that. You would then come to our app. You do create a pipe pool. You do select the keys that you just downloaded. You're going to go ahead and actually, double click it because it is in a zip file. Once you do that, you will simply click upload. Again, this is the same one-on-one you would do on the official Pulse Chain website. You would generate your deposit file. And again, our system is a little bit different. Now you have to do the duration of how long you want to stake. You would have to create a node ID. And this node ID is actually proprietary to our system to track all the nodes to make sure that the rewards are being distributed every so often like we have had. Once that is generated, let's say on the solo validating side, you would then deposit your 32 million Pulse on weight. On our side, since it is a two-tier token, you would then actually deposit your collateralization of your PPY 25 to 150%. Then you would deposit your Pulse. This wallet was lucky enough to actually have one of the first 100 early stakers. So this would be an 8 million Pulse. And then you're up and running. It's that simple. You can do it on your phone. You can do it on your laptop. You can do it wherever. Again, our whole ethos of when creating Project Pi is to help decentralize as many protocols as a whole. Again, this is just showing the collateralization. Show this in the demo, and we already showed this already, but we're going to go ahead and let it go through. And again, bring your own node. We'll do it for you. Go to any VPS. We just want to make it super easy, super simple for people. You simply deposit your 8 million Pulse. Again, for most people, be 16. But if you were gracious enough to be the first 100 early staker, you get in at 1/4 the price, guys. Remember, when we were in Vegas last year, one validator was $8,000, right? So imagine, with that 32 million, half that would be 4,000. Most people don't have that kind of money. So, going like that'll be great.
I was gonna go to one of the last things is just like here actually is our agent. Basically we've been constantly working on this to change it, and make it a little bit more prettier. Since we
love AI stuff.
We showcased it at Vegas and whatnot. We wanted to make it a little bit more pretty and whatnot. So we added like the light and dark mode.
Eyes.
I like light mode, so I always just do it. But right now you have the
light mode. Hey, we're together. I'm telling you, turn on dark mode. Turn on dark mode. I'm like, no, I like clean. I like the white space. I like clean. It's something about that I think different people have affinity for. I'm with you, man.
So we wanted to make it to where, and this is one of the things too. We believe like how we've built ours with as far as Liquid Agent is. It simply just connects to your wallet. We have been kind of experimenting with like AI agents being able to, do things on your behalf. But again, you're giving up your private key and that's dangerous. So we haven't gone that route just yet, but we have some ideas. Don't want to give out too much of the alpha just yet, but we have some ideas. But for now, I think this is a good way to, get things done. So I have the ability to actually go through the list based off the chain. So right now, Pulse Chain has the most because, of course, that's what we're building on. But if I were to switch over, let's say if I switch the blockchain to Base, then once I switch, just for now, I'm gonna switch back. But so for Base, it's only like 5 or 6 different things. If I were to I'll switch back to now, and then if I wanted to, I actually haven't used this in a little minute, but if I wanted to deposit, Then I can say deposit pulse, and then say how much pulse would you like to deposit. I'll just say that 100,000, not 1 million. And then boom. So now I can liquid stake with my
That's pretty cool.
What you call it. So transaction is sent, and from there, just waiting on a confirmation. Once confirmation has happened, we would basically see that the pulse in itself would be liquid staked. I mean, the cool thing too is I don't know if your voice thing works, but I can always try it out on your system.
It should work.
Let's see. Allow a visiting site,
right?
This,
okay, that's fine.
Check balance.
Oh, I'm so excited for all this AI stuff coming up, especially agents. So you guys are really piquing my interest on this. Oh, that's cool.
So,
sir.
You know, and then one other cool thing that I like doing too is just for testing is I can do stuff like type for me because you're faster with your computer. Say switch to base, comma, check balance, comma, then switch to pulse chain, then check balance. Put then check balance or then there too. I don't think you have to, but just to be pedantic. Yeah, so basically just still work in progress with this, but we're seeing again, I mean, we're super excited as much as you are. We're just seeing the potential as far as how AI can be incorporated, not just in a DeFi aspect, but even just in a regular day-to-day system when it comes to blockchain and AI. So we wanted to definitely participate in it in any way we could.
Awesome. Gents, I really appreciate your all's work and just building on Pulse Chain and yeah, for I feel like the last couple of years, you guys just, started with, started from like the liquid staking piece, and now you've added so many different features and you've been presenting at the conferences and just really being a positive force in the community, in addition to just like building out these liquid systems. There's so many different verticals as, you got liquid staking for Pulse Chain validator stuff. Like every system that gets big enough, there is that market for, making it into smaller pieces or like taking it and putting it together to, the more, trustless ways of doing it and all that stuff too. So I really appreciate, what you all have been doing and working on and great stuff as always. And I love the AI piece. We got an AI panel tomorrow. You guys feel free to stop by if you want to check it out as well. It should be fun.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Max.
Yep. Have a good one. Thanks everyone. It's Chris and Van killing it. Building in the community, making sure we have all the fun products. Great stuff. We're going to hit a transition. We're going to hit the longevity panel. Hopefully Aubrey's internet's working. Should be good. We got Randy here. SJ's going to join us as well. Got Daniel Joyful Danish here as well. And should be a lot of fun. Let me hit the transition and we'll go in. We got plenty more stuff today. We got like 5 more sessions or so. So should be fun. All right, everyone. Let's do the dance. Let's dance for a minute.
Let's see if they fuck the chemical all one time. Yeah. Hey, I remember serving something. I see from my love, silver, this a nigga, this a family, this the mama, cover this. Over show my mic and count to up to fucking cover this. I say with my dude, get down, only fully in the music girl, like a white westy world with my taste buds. Ooh, that pussy good, like you said it on my taste buds. I can't wait to be with this shit, I let you think that you just. I love for you, love me, fuck you, don't be playing team trust. AM to the beam, to the AM phone. If I drop your beat, you just gotta hate him for. If I quit your beat, I'm extra round, say it's fun.
All right, longevity panel starts right now. How's it going, everyone? Who wants to live a long, healthy life? Me. Hundreds of years, thousands of years. Aubrey, how long do we got?
Well, that depends how quickly we get going, but we shall see.
It's almost like I really think it's special in this community that we're able to come together over a lot of these ideals. And some of them, they could be AI, they could be delayed gratification, they could be longevity. It is so amazing that we're like, you know what? We want more. We want more out of life, like literally. Like we want to push the boundaries. We want to believe in this stuff. It's not fairy tale, but there's science behind it. There's all these different pieces. It's, the car maintenance analogy is one of my favorite too. So a lot of people think it's make believe. That's fine as well. But boy, it'd be funny if a lot of crypto bros got rich and started investing in longevity research and start saving people's lives. Like it sounds like something that'd be pretty fun and interesting to play with, right?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah. Well,
Great to
before
see
I
you
get
all.
into it too, I know you got some slides and stuff here, but Randy, Daniel, what is your interest in this space? Are you anti-death or something? What's going on?
Go ahead, Daniel. You go up first.
Sure. I mean, I remember one of the quotes Aubrey degree talks about is like it's not about necessarily living 1,000 years, but as long as you want to. And I think that should be the essential thing as well. I'm not sure if I want to live 1,000 years, but definitely over 100. I mean, that would be nice. And I mean, there have been people through history that have been living all the way up to like, I think I read about someone who's like 200 and something. Yeah, you read that too, Randy? Yeah.
Methuselah. How old did Methuselah live to in the Bible?
700 and something?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, but yeah.
Hey,
But people like
don't say the Bible's not real. Don't say it.
Oh well, you go on then. What's your answer?
Yeah, I'm Randy Hilarski. I've been a nurse since I was 19 years old. Worked in healthcare, worked in psychiatry, and you guys know me as a crypto guy, but in my No Permissions group, one of our big focuses is on longevity. Since most of my group is over 40 years old, we're talking about these things. I do receive stem cells regularly. I work with the top doctor in Mexico, Dr. Romo. I had some heart issues back in the fall, and my God, guys, the recovery I've had is just absolutely phenomenal thanks to these stem cells and some of the other treatments that I've received. So I'm all about longevity now. I think this is an opportunity of a lifetime for people to take control of their health. Yes, I know I need to lose weight, and that's important as well, and diet and all these other aspects. But the science is actually catching up now. Going to the doctor and just listening to what our doctor says now is such bullshit. We've got these things right here give us an opening into reality, because we can talk to each other and we get to hear people like Aubrey and these the stem cell scientists and seeing what these different health alternatives are bringing to society.
Amazing stuff. And if y'all are not familiar with Aubrey, Google his name. He's been on the channel a few times as well. Talked to Richard. $27 million donated to charity for the Ascendance Foundation, the former organization he was associated with. And now we have the LEV Foundation, which is doing a lot of great work too. So yeah, Aubrey, whatever direction you want to take it in, we can do Q&A through the slides. Otherwise, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah. So well, first of all, thank you so much, Max, for having me along. And I'm very glad I was able to solve my technical issues. I had a lot of difficulty getting online, but
okay, we'll take you any way we can.
The moral is, when in doubt, marry someone who has a better Wi-Fi hotspot than you do. Anyway, so here I am. So I thought what I'd do to try and do today is just give a reasonably quick update to this community on where my work stands and where it's going next. I think I'll probably be able to get that done in about 15 minutes, so I hope that will leave enough time for some Q&A. So as you've already mentioned, I have an enormous debt of gratitude to the PulseX community, the Hex community, because at obviously Richard's encouragement, 4 years ago, you guys, 2,000 of you, donated something in the region of $27.5 million to my previous organization. And things went a bit south after that, because basically most of that money was stolen from me. But I was able, with the help of a number of the donors, to claw a certain amount of it back, and that is what allowed me to do the work that I am going to talk about today. I'll actually want to give a bit of an update on that process as well, because not only was I able to claw back a bunch of money in the lawsuit that happened 3 years ago, but also there was a second lawsuit in which the plaintiff was another of the airdrop donors, April Okita, and that was also very successful in a different way, which I'll summarize later on. All right, so what is this thing I've been doing with the airdrop money from the Pulse Chain airdrop from July of 2021? The main thing I've been doing in LEV Foundation is the next step of, well, the other step, the second step of the divide and conquer process that I put forward maybe 25 years ago. So I essentially said, let me just go to the relevant slide, because I think a lot of you have seen all of these slides before, and I'll start with this one. Yeah. 25 years or so ago, I basically started to believe and to convince people that reversing aging, paradoxically, is easier than slowing aging down. And the reason it's easier is because it amounts to a process of preventative maintenance. So you mentioned already, Max, how, I use this analogy of a car a lot. That's how cars exist like this. They're 100 years old, despite having been designed to last only 10 or 15 years. And of course, preventative maintenance for the human body is a lot more complicated and challenging than it is for a car, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. And that's what I've been working on ever since. This classification on the left-hand side of this table is essentially a breakdown of what aging consists of the various types of molecular and cellular damage that the body does to itself throughout life. And hearteningly, it was possible for me to fill in the right-hand side of the table as well, with, for each of these categories, a generic way to actually fix it, to actually perform this preventative maintenance. The idea being, of course, that the body, just like a car, is set up to tolerate a certain amount of this damage that it inflicts upon itself throughout life, but only a certain amount, and therefore eventually we start to see impaired function. And the goal is to eliminate that damage periodically, not necessarily completely, but fairly well, so that it never reaches that level of abundance that causes us to get sick. And this became very mainstream a decade later, when essentially it was reinvented by a bunch of very prominent professors in Europe. And this paper that I'm mentioning here is literally by a huge distance the most highly cited paper in the whole of the biology of aging this century, and it's almost certainly going to stay there. So that's very heartening to me. It means I don't have to justify this way of thinking about aging to my colleagues anymore. But that doesn't mean there's nothing more to do. We've got to actually implement these various maintenance approaches, and some of them are really hard, which means that there is pretty good news. It's pretty good news that we have, over the past 20, 25 years, come up with alternative ways to repair this or that category of damage. I'm just listing them here. I won't try to go through them today. If you want to know more, then of course you can ask questions, or you can look at some of the more in-depth, longer talks that I've given in the recent past. But the really good news is that this classification that I put forward quite a long time ago now is standing the test of time. I have not had to expand it, introduce an 8th category and a 9th category, which means that we can be pretty confident that that we really do have a comprehensive understanding of what aging actually is. And that, of course, is very heartening in terms of our likelihood of being able to intervene successfully. So, as I said, I'm going to spend my time today talking about what we're doing. And so a divide and conquer approach to anything in any branch of engineering is all about, first of all, developing the components of the approach, and second of all, putting them together. And in most areas of engineering, the second part is the easy part. If the bits work, then putting them together, you can be pretty sure you're going to have a working machine. But in the case of medicine, it's not like that, because the thing we're trying to do is manipulate a system that we have a very, very poor understanding of. And, I have always known this, but the thing is, some of the components are much more complicated than others, much more challenging to repair. So I worked at Science Research Foundation, and indeed previously at the Methuselah Foundation, on the most difficult ones, which were being neglected by other people because essentially it's harder to get lots of high-profile publications and get your next grant application funded. Academia is incredibly short-termist in its bias, even though you would think the opposite. You would think that the short-termism is what you get from the private sector, and you certainly do, but it's just as bad in academia. So I focused on that. But in the meantime, the lower hanging fruit, the easier types of damage, were succumbing, were yielding to other people's work. And so it became possible to start putting bits together and trying to see what would happen. Now, I'm talking here only in mice, not in people, but you've got to start somewhere. And so that's what we're doing at LEV Foundation. We're taking things that already individually demonstrate a certain amount of life extension in mice, and especially that they do so even when one starts the therapy in middle age. The idea is if we put them together, we want to know whether we get an additive effect, whether we get, more than any of the individual components. And thanks to the Pulse community, I was able to start the first of such an experiment just over 2 years ago now. So to put some numbers on this, mice of the sort of strain that we would use for this experiment typically live about 2.5 years. So as I say, we want to start in middle age. We started at 1.5 years old when they've got 1 year to live on average, and we try to get them to live longer. And we succeeded. We got them to live maybe 4 months longer, but that's not enough. 4 months is plenty, it's definitely impressive. And we did see additivity, as I'll show you in a moment. But the thing is, 4 months is something that we could already do with something called calorie restriction. I guess most of you know what calorie restriction is, just not eating as much as one would like. And we've really got to break through that glass ceiling and get to 8 months or 12 months of life extension if we're really going to show people that aging is within striking distance of being brought under genuine medical control. So this was a huge experiment. The reason I needed the pulse chain money for it was because we were using 1,000 mice and split into 10 treatment groups, both sexes, so 50 mice per treatment group per sex. Very, very complicated experiment, cost $3.5 million, and even that, and it would have cost more if we hadn't cut a few corners. We measured lots and lots of aspects of health. I think one of you mentioned just before I started that, it's not clear whether one wants to live to 1,000. And I certainly do not think in terms of how long I want to live. I think that's actually a rather dangerous and pointless thing to be focused on. I think that by far the most important focus is how long one stays healthy, plus to remember that, and indeed to celebrate the fact that the longer you stay healthy, the longer you will live. Longevity is a side effect of health, which is something that it's extraordinarily hard to get people to remember and to realize. Perhaps because in today's world, when we do not have anti-aging therapies that actually work, there's this trade-off between quality and quantity on account of the fact that there are quite a lot of things that people enjoy doing that are bad for you. But in a world where we do have these medicines, quality is precisely the thing that will confer quantity. So they should not be viewed as a trade-off at all anymore. All right, so I'll just go to the chase. These are the 10 survival curves of the female mice. So first of all, what's a survival curve? You probably can't read this, but on the x-axis is age, starting at when the experiment began, which was 19 months of age. And on the y-axis is the proportion of the mice that were alive at the beginning of the experiment that lived to any particular age. So, of course, as time goes on, mice progressively die, and the curve moves down and to the right, and eventually all the mice are dead and the curve hits the x-axis. So to cut a long story short, the thick red line is the group of mice that were getting all 4 of the things that we were testing, and the thick blue line at the bottom is the group that were getting none of them. So that's great. It means that our interventions were working. And as you can see, we got about this 3 or 4 month increase that I was mentioning. What's better is the additivity. The lines in the middle, the thinner lines, are the other treatment groups, the ones that were getting either just 1 intervention or getting all but 1, getting 3. And as you can see, they're somewhere in the middle. So that's exactly what we were hoping to see. But we definitely want to see more. We want to get to a bigger effect size. The males, basically the same story. The thick red line does better than the thick blue line. You can see some paradoxical things as well. And one kind of expects to see paradoxical things here and there in experiments like this that are so complicated. But to cut a long story short, what you have is a couple of the groups actually did worse than nothing for the first year of the experiment, and then they caught up. Whereas a couple of the other groups did fine through the first year, and then they fell off a cliff. And I'm not pretending to try to understand that at this point. But anyway, yes, this happens when I use StreamYard. It kind of does conversion of things and fonts go wrong. And well, anyway, here we are. The focus, therefore, is to move to the next experiment. RMR stands for Robust Mouse Rejuvenation, which is the name that I have given to the potential 12-month increase in longevity that I want to achieve with these experiments. And so our first attempt, as you've seen, it was a proof of concept, but it didn't get all the way, didn't hit it out of the park. So we're desperate to get the second experiment going. We've got a bunch of choices up here. I can talk about some of these if you like later on. But essentially the same idea, taking a bunch of very diverse, very different interventions, each of which has already individually been shown by other groups to have a positive effect on longevity when started in middle age, and to see what we can do in terms of getting more. And the main difference between this new experiment and the previous one is that we've decided we need to go all in and do more interventions at a time. We did 4 last time, we're going to do 8 this time, which means it's going to cost, well, nearly twice as much. We've identified a few cost savings, so we're going to be able to keep it down to $5 or $6 million rather than 7. But nevertheless, it's proper money. And, 2,000 mice. And so I am desperately trying to raise that money right now. And I must say, I wish it were easier, but such is life. It's not easy raising money these days. But I'm trying my utmost. And that's why I wanted to talk about how this is going to change the game in regard to the public's attitude to aging. Because many people, especially non-biologists, the first thing they think is, well, hang on, I don't really care about mice. Why should I write this guy a check to try to extend mouse lifespan? And of course, I don't care about mice either, except as a means to an end. So let me describe, first of all, what I think we can now do in terms of shifting public opinion with a really small amount of money, like basically doing 3 more of these big combination rejuvenation experiments. The thing I want to have happen is to have a properly COVID scale war on aging. Some people, are a bit surprised by my view on this, but I believe that COVID is by far the single best thing that has happened for the longevity community, the longevity crusade in the past decade. Because what it did was it showed us all what we could do, what humanity could do if it just put its mind to it. People didn't want to die. And the result was that everything that we thought we knew was just swept out of the, swept away in terms of, regulatory inertia and, bureaucracy and so on. And the result was we had all these vaccines developed and distributed literally more than 10 times faster than anyone had ever done before. It was insane. And that's what we need for the war on aging as well. ultimately, if people ask me how soon do I think we're going to be able to bring aging under comprehensive control, I say I think it's between 12 and 15 years from now. And people say, well, how on earth can that possibly be? Look at how long it takes to get one drug through the FDA. And of course, that's right. But if we sweep away all that regulatory inertia by getting the public actually to care in the same way that they cared about COVID, different world entirely. So that's what I want to have happen. Now, of course, once the public do get on side, the governments are the people who actually write the checks. But that's okay, because governments want to get re-elected. So that's the easy part. The question is, why is it so damned hard to get the public to be less apathetic, to actually care about doing something about aging? And, I've been trying everything I could think of for 25 years to change that. And, I do plenty of high profile, national media and everything. It doesn't seem to work. I believe that the fundamental answer is not to appeal to logic and, science and all that, but rather to simply leverage something that we already know the public listen to, and that is influencers. Influencers are called influencers for a reason. They actually, for whatever reason, if Oprah says buy this book, a very large number of people promptly go and buy it. And so that's what I want to do. I want to influence the influencers to demand a COVID scale war on aging. So how do I do that? Well, the good news is that influencers are already really interested in this topic. I mean, I've been on Rogan a couple of times. Various of my other high-profile colleagues have been on Rogan. Same for Lex Friedman, same for Mr. Beast. This is good. This is a great start. But the point is, at the moment, I am the only major high-profile biologist of aging who is willing to go out and publicly predict how long it's going to take to bring aging under control. The rest of my colleagues are terrified of being seen to be, illegitimately getting the public's hopes up and having their next grant application trashed as a result. And we need to change that. And I believe we can do that if we simply change what's possible in the lab by a sufficient margin. Now, one thing to remember is that we're talking about a very small number of my colleagues. There are maybe a few hundred people who are legitimately, respected subject matter experts in this space, but only about half a dozen of them do more than one general audience interview or lecture per month, half a dozen. And, we're all good friends. I know exactly what they think and what would be enough for them to do something. So that's my goal. I want to bring gerontologists out of the closet and get them to say, yes, now's the time. And I believe that once they do, the influencers will demand it and the public will demand it, and it's just going to happen, just like COVID, overnight. So coming back to mice again for my final comment here, the thing about mice is it's insane how little progress has been made, even in mice, in the past 50 years in terms of extending their life. And this is something that, of course, most of my colleagues desperately sweep under the carpet because, they want to pretend that they're making progress in order to carry on getting funded. A couple of years ago, I, along with one of my colleagues, Brian Kennedy, we orchestrated this thing called the Dublin Longevity Declaration, which was a strong statement. It was stronger than than the center of gravity of gerontologists had ever said before, but it wasn't strong enough. So it really hasn't moved the needle yet, but it's out there as a stepping stone towards what needs to happen next. So I'll stop there. I just want to again thank the Pulse Chain community for letting me get this far, and also the people that did the experiment that we worked with at one of my spin-out companies. There's my email address. Anyone can always contact me whenever. Anyone who wants to get deep into the science can look at this review that we wrote last year. And of course, there's a QR code if you happen to be in a position to give us any money. We take all the cryptocurrencies that are traded at the main centralized exchanges. I'm afraid we still can't directly take Hex or Pulse Chain, but I'm hoping we can do something about that soon. So I'll stop there, and I hope I've left time for some questions.
Aubrey, I just have a comment because I've been banned everywhere due to COVID. Um, I think that we're missing something here. A lot of us now are understanding that a lot of this was pre-planned, and the reason why everything was rolled out so quickly is because they all shook hands before the event happened. And as someone who's anti-vaccine and uh, the chemtrails, and I'm the people that used to be called the conspiracy theorists who are now called truth sayers. we turned around. Now we seem to be knowing what we're talking about. I get really pissed off when I hear about COVID, and I think the reason why you saw what you saw is because it was all bullshit, and they planned it way ahead of time.
Well, of course, I disagree, but that's kind of not the point. The point is that the majority of the public were in favor of what happened, and that therefore, whether or not there had been any pre-planning, the fact is, stuff got done that would not have got done if there had not been votes in it.
So there was a whole bunch of people that essentially got excited when all of the COVID stuff started coming out. There was a whole bunch of media organizations working together, and there's a whole bunch of salesmanship that was put towards the idea of the danger of what COVID is. And I think that like the emotional movement of all that stuff is what gets people to take action. So what do you think, Aubrey, is like the most emotional thing about longevity? Like, what's the thing that really triggers people? What's like the stuff that because nobody wants to die, right? And it seems like such a far away thing. What are the like emotional heartstrings that we can pull on in order to get more eyeballs on this topic?
Yeah, that's a great question. So many years ago, I coined this phrase, the pro-aging trance, to describe the just unspeakable irrationality that people exhibit when one addresses the question of longevity and aging. That essentially, you're quite right. If people look both ways when they cross the street, they act as if they don't want to die. But when the possibility comes along, or the prospect is discussed of seriously doing something about dying, they run away very fast. Now, to me, the explanation is very simple. It's simply that almost everybody is absolutely terrified of getting their hopes up. And so they will resort to these spectacularly irrational rationalizations, trying to pretend that aging is some kind of blessing in disguise, just in order to be able to get on with their miserably short lives and make the best of it, rather than being preoccupied by this terrible thing that's going to happen to them. So I've basically pretty much given up on the idea of influencing the public through logic, through getting them to say that, listen, if you don't want to die tomorrow and you don't want to get sick tomorrow and you're very sure you never will want to get sick, then you probably ought to support this work. It doesn't work. Now, when I say it doesn't work, I should be clear that it does work a little bit. A lot of people are not so scared as average of getting their hopes up, especially a lot of successful people. And so it's kind of no surprise to me that a large number of the people who have decided to support this work over the years have been geeks of one kind or another. And of course, the crypto community is very much an example of that. It's not just the Hexagon community. The very first crypto donation that I ever received was from Vitalik Buterin, who read my book when he was 14 and looked back. So
well, it looks like we lost Aubrey. He did say that he had some internet issues, and that was one of the reasons why we were having some issues in the beginning. SJ, what you got to say?
I really am interested in hearing more about. There was a conference or something that happened a while back. It might have just been a stream that Max did, and I got to ask Aubrey a question. As a woman, as an aging woman, I had interest in finding out more about like longevity in terms of like cell reproduction, right? And like, does that apply to like giving birth at an older age and things like that. And Aubrey was like, yeah, absolutely. Like if we're able to repair livers and repair kidneys, the womb is just another organ, right? So like I've just been curious, like has there been more research on the cell rejuvenation part of like longevity and that, because that's pretty interesting to me.
I think he's trying to come back in.
Yeah. So we'll see. And I only learned the word longevity because of SciVive. I've never, heard that was a thing before. I didn't know anything about it. So, again, thanks to Richard, it was something that I started learning about and got into. And, I think another thing that I wonder about is, I have people that scoff about like me wearing organic, or I wear organic cotton clothing as much as possible, and people are like, well, this, it's all over the place and you're eating microplastics and blah, like, why even worry about that? Like, why even take these steps? So I wonder, like, is it worth it? Like, is me not wearing polyester, like, improving my longevity? Am I taking the right steps?
Maybe 1%, maybe half of 1%.
Right.
Maybe you're getting a few extra days.
Do those percents add up over time, and I eat organic as often as I can, just things like that. So
yeah, well, that's good. And living that sort of lifestyle and also documenting it, I think, is what he was trying to get at earlier when he was talking about influencers and like his financing. If I were to be so bold as to guess as like what Aubrey needs the most of, it would be financing and also marketing. And that's something that the Pulse Chain community and Hexaco and Richard Hart are all super obsessed with, is all about marketing. So if people aren't like emotionally driven to make the same decisions as you're talking about, like SJ, like folks, wearing better clothing, eating healthier, doing all these small little things and having this type of like having this type of response to the idea of longevity and the research that he's doing, then we're just gonna keep getting what we've already got. One of the things that a famous dude, Pook, once said was that, like, if you do what everyone else is doing, then you're just gonna get what everyone else has got. So until everyone starts talking about this stuff with the level of importance that it was given to COVID, whether the COVID stuff was like what Aubrey talks about or like what you were talking about, Randy, the point is that a whole bunch of people had a very, very emotional reaction to this thing that was theoretically changing the world and killing them all, whether it was true or whether it was false. The point is that like everyone's heartstrings were tugged. So if there's a way that we can find to market this idea and to market the idea of longevity and survival and just better living in general, then I think that we can get more folks to take this seriously, and then, more money flows.
I think the biggest thing that, just going back to his presentation, I was listening in, was getting influencers, getting people on board, making a priority for politicians. Math-wise, it makes sense, right? Like, we can save a ton of money on healthcare if we live longer. I mean, there's other, again, trade-offs that come with that. But now we're hitting the AI revolution. We're going to have to deal with a lot of this stuff coming up anyways. So it could be, I wonder if it is like perfect timing of like all these shakeups in technology and stuff coming, and we make huge medical advances, and the longevity becomes popular in not just, the media stops writing about it like it's some like weird dream fantasy, person. If you want to live longer, then you're like selfish, and like all these other weird takes on it that have been debunked a million times as well. I think that's where we get a lot of traction. Politicians start caring about it, constituents start caring about it, billionaires start caring more about it, and then we start funding people like Aubrey. And, if you don't know much about Richard, if you don't know his thoughts on longevity, I'll say it like that. He has talked a lot about it. Some may even say it's his end game in one way or another, wanting to advance that and really, make a difference in the real world, not just the crypto blockchain world. So fascinating topic for me. I want to live longer. I want other people to. And why can't we get rich and fun stuff like that instead of, fund all the other BS stuff going on out there? So I think it's kind of like a win-win, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's where my focus is going now. My focus is definitely going to longevity stuff. I had my eyes opened when Dr. Romo he's the number one doctor in Mexico that does the stem cells. He was here at our conference back in January, and I was just absolutely blown away, sitting out on the yacht out there in the bay, talking to him and hearing his ideas on longevity and where this is going for our current generations, whether you're Gen X or millennial, you're caring about these things now. You're starting to think about it, and we want to be rich enough to be able to afford to do these things. And on top of that, get the research in there where it brings the cost of these treatments down, so we can all afford them, or most of us can.
Aubrey, pop back in as well.
Hey. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, my wife was wonderful enough to have better hotspot, but then she's absent-minded enough to take her phone to the restroom, which was out of my
classic.
She rubbed you.
Anyway, here we are. So I apologize for missing everything that you've been talking about. If there's any questions for me that I missed, then please let me know.
Yeah. Any final rounding out questions for Mr. Aubrey de Grey?
Yeah, it could be interesting to hear, like, because like you said, like, okay, so now it's the influencers and you want to put out a message. I'm curious, like, what is like the key message, like, at least for the current moment that you have? Because again, like you said, like all the previous messages not really working, and often they're more unpleasant motivation rather than a pleasant motivation. You see, for example, like a guy like, okay, sure. Well, like you also mentioned earlier, sure, I don't die, I become 1,000 years old, but am I healthy? Am I happy? Do I have a purpose? Do I have people around me? Or did they all die? What is the pleasant motivation in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's not about living a long time. I think it's generally unhelpful to think about the distant future at all, because there's basically nothing that we know about the distant future. I think it's far more useful simply to think about the fact that we don't want to get sick. Nobody wants to get sick. Nobody expects that they ever will want to get sick, however long ago they were born. So, if there's this side effect that you live a long time as a result of not getting sick, sounds great. And yes, of course, there's all these other questions about, what purpose one has in life. But hey, we've got those questions today as well. I think really those are just escapist ways of closing down, of avoiding thinking about the question when one isn't confident that we will actually succeed, even if we try. So I think for me, the goal is to succeed sufficiently that we can essentially get this sequence of dominoes to fall, right? To get, because I think basically all the constituencies that I mentioned are already primed. The subject matter experts are already ready to talk about timeframes if there is enough progress in the lab. The influencers are ready to demand a war on aging once the experts talk about timeframes. The public will do what the influencers say. The government will do what the public says. All of these people are ready. So we've just got to get a little more done in the laboratory. And I believe we can do it with a pitiful amount of money. I mean, if I had another $27 million, that would certainly be enough, I think. Well, not certainly, but with a 90% chance. And I'd probably do it in 3 or 4 years. So that's what I'm trying to make happen now. I should actually, before I forget, mention where things are at with the rest of the pulse chain money, the stuff that I didn't succeed in clawing back a few years ago. So there was, as many of you know, a second lawsuit that happened over the past 6 months or so, and which did not lead to any new money directly, but what it did lead to was a couple more of the people who stole the original money exiting stage left, resigning their positions on the board of directors of the charity, which means that now the charity is in the control of newcomers who are in a position to put things right to a substantial extent, certainly not fully, because a great deal of the money that you guys donated has now been squandered, to be honest. But there's still something to salvage there. And so, of course, the question is whether they will. I am working with them. Well, I'm talking to them as much as I can to give them a good rescue package, a good exit strategy. And we shall see what happens. So I encourage everybody here to keep a close eye on what they have now renamed the Lifespan Research Institute. and to see what they will actually do.
Thank you for the update. Yeah, thanks for on that. I know a lot of people have probably been wondering otherwise. And just for anyone who missed in the beginning or wasn't around for Pulse Chain Sacrifice, $27 million raised for charity. Some people donated to Sins Foundation. I think they got extra points or so on the sacrifice, and what turned into one of Aubrey's former organizations, and that's kind of what he was referencing there. And a little bit before, well, maybe next time we'll go for 27 billion, and maybe over like 15 30 years time period or something.
Yeah, so this is one of the most curious things about medical research, is that each stage that you move through, from mice into testing safety, then into testing efficacy, each stage costs more than the previous stage, but each stage is actually easier to fund than the previous stage, because essentially the increased check size is outweighed by the decreased risk, by the de-risking that the success in the previous stage resulted in.
Wow. All right. Aubrey, really appreciate you being here. Everyone on the panel, great work. I tried to step out, give you guys some time to talk and all that stuff. We got couple more sessions coming up. And again, Aubrey, always great to see you. Thanks for making it. Glad your Wi-Fi worked at least most of the time.
That's
and
right.
panel, you killed it too. Appreciate you all.
Thanks so much. Bye for now.
All right, everyone. Aubrey did great. Wild, SJ, Will, everyone. Great job. Great job on that. Oh, we got to move on though. We got 2 more sessions. Wow. Again, longevity. If you don't know much about it, it's very important to Richard, very important to a lot of people in the community. And again, that's what makes this place special. We're not just, do we want to get rich or richer? Yeah. Do we want to have self-sovereignty? But also, do we want to make a difference in the world? Do we want to be known to do great things, make huge contributions? What's a bigger problem than solving than death? Or at least, if you don't have to think about it that way. What's a bigger problem than having more time? If you think time is the most valuable resource, let's get some more of it. Let's work on stuff to do that. Stop just being, defeated by something that's always happened to everyone else. Let's do something different this time. Let's make this time different in a very fun and productive way. So anyways, let's get a transition and we'll get Top Gun Hexadian come in and talk to us about PulseX. Oh, what we got for this one? Let's do rockets up. Oh. Where are the green candles, Dev? Where are the green candles? What's happening, Top Gun?
Well, hello, Max. Thanks for having me on. I always love that video, especially when Richard's like,
It's so good. It's so good. Whoever made that, I don't know who made it. I just come across stuff on Twitter and YouTube and Reddit stuff sometimes. Whoever made that, shout out to you. There's like a short version, a long version. There's a meme version. There's a GIF version. It's amazing. So we get the best memes, as Richard used to say. We get the best memes. Got the best. We won another great prize chart and got the best community for sure.
oh yeah.
Top Gun, I'll let you take it away. We got 15 minutes. PulseX, all the fun stuff. And if you need to share a screen, just let me know.
All right. No, pretty much with 15 minutes, I'm not going to bother pulling up that huge math model. I figure I'll just do a basics rundown about what PulseX is, how it works, and then make a couple comments after. So
Sounds
simplifying
great.
this.
Any questions in the chat, get them in. We may be able to get 1 or 2. We'll see, but it's all you. Take it away.
Sounds good. All right, guys. So PulseX, what is it? Why is it important? It's the heart of the DEX. One of them. I mean, the heart of the chain. And it's one of the many DEXs, but it is the largest. It has most liquidity. It allows the chain to function very well for people getting in and out, because most of the chain speculation is people trading. Now, what's so important about the DEX is how it simplifies things and how it makes trading work. Now, it's based off the Uniswap V2 model, which I like a lot. To make it nice and simple, you can think of this whole digital equation like a teeter-totter. X times Y equals K. So at the base of the teeter-totter is your K, the balancing point, and the two sides make up, your total. So if you assumed you had 10 stable coins on one side and 10 tokens on the other, well, now you've got a balanced teeter-totter and you multiply those two sides, the K number is 100. All right, that's the size of your liquidity pool. So basically now, if you buy or sell into this thing, you're pushing down on one side of the teeter-totter. So if you go down by half, you're going to go up by double. Or if you go up by 10%, you're going to go down by 10% to keep the teeter-totter balancing. I need to get a green screen so my hands don't disappear while I'm doing this. Anyway, now you're getting a little bit of an idea. Also, you can take those number of stable coins and divide them by the number of tokens, and that gets you the price. This is all that fancy math broken down pretty simple. So 10 tokens with 10 stable coins, that's $1 a token. Now someone comes along and thinks, oh, $1 a token sounds good. I like this token. I'm going to put $10 in and get 10 tokens. Well, they're wrong. They're going to put $10 in, but they're going to eat what we know as slippage because, well, you put 10 in, so you've now doubled the one side to 20. You don't get to take all 10 out of the other half. You only get to take half of it since you doubled the other side. So you get 5 of these tokens. In other words, you paid $2 a token. That sounds like a pretty nasty ripoff. That's the slippage. However, the price impact, that's the new price that you calculate. And well, if you've got 20 stable coins divided by 5 tokens, that's $4 a stable coin. So the price was $1 stable coin, or $1 a token, 1 stable coin per token. Then we paid 2 stable coins per token and forced the price up to 4 stable coins per token. So obviously little amounts of liquidity, not great, because that's lots of slippage. Now that's oversimplification, because a lot of people go, well, I want to provide liquidity, I want to get into PulseX, I want to be a market maker. Okay, but they're worried about impermanent loss, or how the heck do you even collect your fees? How do you track your fees? How do you know? Well, so again, with this example, we'll change the numbers to 100 and 100 on either side, but this is loose, so our DEX, I believe, charges 0.29%. Again, for easy math, we're going to make that 3 times larger, and we're just going to call it a full percent. So if someone comes along and sees these tokens and goes, oh, well, I'm going to dump $100 in, double it up, and get half the tokens because it's a larger liquidity pool. So 200 stable coins on the other side now and just 50 of the token, but still we got a $4 price. Okay. Except what happens here is 1% goes in. So now if you put in, like we said, that 100 stable coins, you don't even get 50 tokens out. You'll get 49.5 tokens out. And that 1% that you didn't get, that's the fees. And it just stays there in the pool. So your K number does go up just a little bit each trade, just a little bit. So now that you've got slightly more tokens and slightly more tokens out of each trade. So this is how a liquidity pool will grow without people coming in and just adding or providing the liquidity. So this is a really cool function that compounds the fees on every trade that you earn versus every trade that you just did. It can be actually pretty quick for compounding growth, but that's as long as your prices are moving relatively close to each other. Moving up and down 20 and 30%, staying in a range for a long time. Really great. If you think the price is going to move a lot very suddenly, this is where impermanent loss gets a little more concerning. But there are plenty of impermanent loss calculators out there, so you can have a look and see what you think is worth that. But compounding in the right pools, all you need to do, again, to look at these pools is look at how much liquidity is in there. Okay, is it $1 million liquidity? Great. Now, how much volume does it have average daily? Go ahead and look at a month's volume and divide it by 30. And then you realize, okay, so this has about 100K of volume. So about 10% of the size of liquidity sees volume. And then out of that, you now can figure out what the fees are. So you can figure out, well, if I put in so much money, this is the rate I'll figure out fees. The math gets kind of boring for a lot of people, but it's there if you want to access it. What makes it really cool is these DEXs where they wrap the fees in for the providers, they still take a little bit out for themselves. So, I mean, they'll leave like maybe 2/3 or 3/4 for the liquidity provider and take a nice quarter or third for themselves, depending on the DEX fee structure. Now, the nice thing about PulseX is it's very generous, where they leave 3/4 for the providers, and another 21% of it, I believe, is directed at the buy and burn, with just a fraction of leftover little percent going to no expectations. So there was a bug in the launch of PulseX, and always do your own math and always trust your own math. I thought I caught that bug where the fees weren't being paid on testnet, but somebody in the community that was the old math guru kind of crapped all over me when I brought that up. So I backed off because I was new here, just figuring things out. Maybe I'd read it wrong. Wish I hadn't. So anyways, V1 launches with this bug where none of the fees are going to the liquidity provider, and 99% of them are going to the buy and burn. Now, this is unfortunate for the liquidity providers. However, the incentive token farms provided some compensation through yield there. However, it was amazing for our buy and burn. One of the best functions of PulseX, which is thought a lot of as a gimmick, like, oh, you've got locked up tokens you're burning. How does that help price? No. PulseX takes the revenue it's generating and then uses that revenue to buy up, the same way Apple does share buybacks or Nvidia does share buybacks, which investors get uber excited about because they know price is about to go shooting up because a buyback's happening. Now, these big businesses do it more like once a year, or a couple times a year, once every few years. This thing is our own Michael Saylor bot. It's not automated, like a lot of the process is automated, but you can go there and click a button and participate. But I believe a lot of the community has already written bots to go ahead and, as soon as it's profitable, do the calculations and run for the rewards. So it might as well be automated fully. It's just mostly automated by Richard, and then the community finished automating it off. So you can run it at any time if you don't care about being profitable and you want to beat one of the bots. You can participate in the buy and burn. Now, because of this, daily, our automated Michael Saylor bot is just chewing through our PulseX supply. Num. Now, this is where it is best seen. When we get back to question time, I'll make Max bring up this chart because it's my favorite chart. And that is the PulseX price chart against Pulse, the ratio chart, not the dollar amount, because that shows you right there how powerful the buy and burn has been, how powerful our automated Michael Saylor has been, what kind of trend line that has actually set up, and that our DEX is lining up to be more valuable than our Layer 1 token, which will be a record first for crypto. This is what I think is basically the best function of this DEX. And now, besides that, some of the features of it can seem a little light, but now that we've seen updates to pulsechain.com, hi there, Max. We've seen that Richard, we're getting that price chart up. Wonderful. I love this price chart. It makes me so bullish. So just looking at that PulseX price. Can we get the price charts from PulseX, or do we have to go to DEX Screener or pulsechain.com?
Let's do pulsechain.com. Wait, let's try that.
Let's see if we can get a ratio chart there. Yeah.
Oh, actually, I haven't tried charts on here. Good question.
Yeah, does it let us get a ratio chart? No.
It's not letting me click anything, so yeah, we can go to DEX Screener.
We can do this with grading now, I think.
Oh, did we keep getting listed and delisted multiple places?
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Pop. There we go. And then we can switch this to ratio. There, you can draw a nice line right across the bottom of that. A perfect straight line. That is just beautiful. And that is the buy and burn of work. So that is one of the reasons that a lot of us have gotten behind it, knowing that the value is being redistributed to the holders. And it is just a waiting game to watch the supply get burnt up, as we're already at 7.07% of the supply gone. That's excluding the OA, obviously. And at this rate, it is chopping up that we should break over 9.25% in the next year, and we should break 10.5% easily in the next 2 years. And that's without potentially, a bunch of volume suddenly flooding in from Richard and the community, or however that goes. But the buy and burn is just steadily working away, doing what it should have. And so in the meantime, you've got speculation about ink tokens being used as a DAO or other things that might come to the DEX. And now that we've seen the updates in pulsechain.com, a lot of people see the stagnation. Like PulseX hasn't seen that many updates, just little version updates for the website. keep things tweaked, but we haven't seen a lot of major rollouts. But this is where, now that we're seeing the changes and upgrades to PulseChain.com, I think we're going to see upcoming changes to PulseX, where I'm pretty sure Richard always had on the roadmap to add a couple other features like limit orders or stablecoin trading pools. So we are
obviously bridge integration. There's a lot of amazing stuff that can happen.
Yeah, so we're still waiting to see a lot of features get added to PulseX, and in the meantime, you can see by that ratio that we have just touched parity, and basically on our straight line projection, which Hex used to do, not to jinx us, PulseX, not to jinx us, but that straight line projection, we are very soon going to break parity for token value for PulseX, and this is just the value of, hey, look, we're not just taking all the fees and running away and who cares about the user? No, Tron style, fight for the user. The user gets a share of the fees for believing the product and holding a share of it. And I love that structure. It gets me excited every time I talk about it, even 2-3 years later. So, yeah.
Richard certainly likes talking about PulseX a lot. I was asking Coffee this morning during the keynote. I'm like, he talks about fundamentals of PulseX, we're speculating why, over Hex, over Pulse, over Inc. He really likes to bring out the buy and burn. He really likes to bring out deflationary. RH seems, I don't know. Is PulseX is it trying to be his favorite child at this point? Like he likes it a lot. Talks a lot about it.
It's possible. It's hard to ever tell with Richard. I mean, we've seen some back and forth where, well, I guess the market's decided, and then we watch EHEX go down, and then, well, the market seems to still like EHEX. Buy what you want. Like it's still price floating up. So, he's had a little back and forth, but he's definitely given PulseX a lot of love. That is for sure. A lot more than I think he's given to Inc. However, Inc. is our lowest market cap coin. So, I mean, they all have their reasons to pump insanely. Hex has got the longest cult following. PulseX has got the buy and burn. Everyone loves a layer one. They're always necessary for gas. So Pulse is in high demand. I mean, they all have their reasons to be bullish.
Amazing. I think PulseX, we've seen so much stuff happening, the liquidity changing. Of course, PulseX still the premier DEX on Pulse Chain, most liquid. We've got app upgrades from time to time, new versions. A ton of stuff that could be on the horizon as far as upgrades and stuff too. Which again, I've said so many times, I think it's being timed when it actually matters, and not just to get pumped 10% to go down 15%. Like no, I would if anyone's out here, if I'm a dev team and I want to ride momentum in favorable macro conditions in a time of going up, I'm like staging all this stuff, like test net. I'm gonna make sure everything's working great, and then boom, boom, boom. Let's ride the momentum, ride those green candles up. No sense in introducing all the baller new features when the conditions aren't right. So I think if you think there's a plan, you gotta believe it's a good plan, right?
That you do.
Top Gun Hexadian. You hang around. You're going to be on the panel with the rest of the people, community panel. It's going to be fun. I'm going to round out the day with that, and then I'll have some closing remarks. But with that, let me pick one transition. Let's do this. And I like this transition. Let's do this. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Conference 2055.
Whoa, we got a lot of people on screen now. Look at that. Look at all the people. How's it going, everyone? I think everyone's been here before except Big K. How's it going, man? Nice to see you on stream.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Welcome. Real quick, just since it's your first time on the channel, I know OG. I've watched you a lot on Cabana and stuff too. People probably saw you from Highest of Stakes. If you've seen that awesome movie. How did you just 30 seconds? So how'd you come across the ecosystem? How'd you get into Richard? If you haven't seen the Highest of Stakes trailer yet, I recommend it. But
well, I've been in crypto. Was mining in 2016. I was a Monero miner, and it was really just because I was a gamer. I had video graphics card. Turned it on, making $3 a day. Before you knew it, I had a whole bunch. But Richard said some things in that time period that I didn't like. The moment when I specifically didn't like him was when his debate with Roger Ver during the Fork Wars. And so I straight up blocked him. So it wasn't until I lost my ass pretty hard during those 4 cores. A lot of my miners were mining Bitcoin Cash. So, you know, you can guess how that felt. And like looking in hindsight, looking back, it was, you know, when I unblocked him and found his material, it was all pretty like, oh yeah, this dude is right. And I'm really wrong. So it was humbling. But that was probably like, I don't know, January 2019.
What time?
And so that when that happened, I dived straight in, paid super close attention to what was Bitcoin Hex at the time. And then, you know, from there really I put everything that I had into Bitcoin, free claimed it all, turned it all into Ethereum, and slowly put it all in the adoption amplifier. So, you know, I've been a fan since the very get go, and still am. I mean, I think I have more Hex now than I've ever had. So, you know,
Wow.
I'm
It's
ready for this next run.
Aren't we all? Yeah. It's funny how like these disagreeing with somebody can really make you pay attention to them. Like, I mean, outrage marketing, right? Like that whole phase. I actually like my origin story following Richard too was somebody at a party who's big into Monero. He said, "Oh, you ever heard of Richard Hart?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Yeah, he keeps talking about the attack surface with Ethereum, how he doesn't like Ethereum and stuff." And I'm like, "Wait, you know, I'm new to crypto, but I'm a tech guy, so like Ethereum seems fine. Yeah, there's attack surface, but you know that you work around it to do smart contracts, and you got to be careful and all that stuff. But there's nothing wrong with it." So I came and I started watching his stuff, his self-help and his technical videos and all that, because I was like, what is his problem with Ethereum? And of course, later on, Hex ends up launching on Ethereum. His mind changes and stuff like that. But it came from that, like, why? Like, tell me why. Like, I want to know more about this. Even if I don't agree with you, like, it gets me engaged enough to like go watch your content. So
that was actually the one thing I did agree with him on was the Ethereum stuff. I didn't like Ethereum at all when I first started playing. Like when it first came out, I was like, "Oh, this is super clunky." I didn't like the Mu wallets at the time, like the web wallet at the time. I didn't like a lot of stuff going on with it. So like I was stupidly, of course later on you're like, oh yeah, duh. But at the time I was.
Funny. You sound synergy with him on Ethereum.
Yeah, I did for sure.
Nice. Well, amazing. Well, glad to have you on. Top Gun's back. Corey, an investor. Shout out to Corey. Appreciate you making donation as well. A lot of people donating different stuff to the conference, and Corey was generous there and able to really like just make the whole community making this conference a great thing. First time I've ran one, and appreciate everyone just submitting and speaking and donating, all that good stuff. So really appreciate you, Corey.
Got it, man. Thank you, man. I appreciate you setting this up as well, too, man.
It's pretty wired, man. It's been almost 6 hours, so I'm doing it live, and
all right.
Sloth showed up on time, so that's actually unbelievable. So welcome, Dr. Dentist. You're back.
Well, I mean, Jesus, I had to twist your arm to get on here. I guess I better show up on time, right?
How much did you pay again? How much did you have paid to get on the screen?
I don't know, but I'm still waiting for that form to give the IRS.
You got receipts? You got receipts? We don't need to talk. We don't need to talk.
You gotta give me the receipt. What are you talking about?
We don't need to talk to them. They don't need that. You can't send me money if you want to. You know that. You can wear my T-shirts though. I get T-shirts. They get thrown around every time or two. Triple Dad and Fast Abdul rounding out the panel with the Pulse Chain Times people. That's what you know to me these days. You guys did a great show on that. Appreciate you both.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. I'm gonna step away. You guys talk about whatever you want to talk about. You got about 30 minutes or so. Kick it. Round out the conference. Anything fun, newsworthy? Richard just tweeted twice about the conference. I'm feeling pretty good right now. Doing everything good. So I'll step away. You guys have fun.
All right.
What are we talking about, boys?
That's a good question.
It is a good question. First of all, I just want to say hello to Triplet Dad and Fast Abdul. You guys I know, and Big Krowski, Corey the Investor, and Crypto Sloth. I've seen you around, but I think this is our first time actually seeing each other. So I just want to say hello. Nice to meet you.
Thanks, Doc. Thanks, Doc. You know, Fast Abdul and I both are doing the Pulse Chain Times, and we start and end the show with Corey's music. You're
awesome. Yeah, dude. Corey, you've been making sick tunes for the community for a long time, brother. Appreciate that.
Pretty good.
Right on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I haven't. Y'all two up top here. I've never been on. Y'all three at the bottom have been on before, but it's good to see. Good to be on with y'all. Appreciate everything everybody does, and I mean it's cool to be on another conference here, all about some fun stuff at a good time too. I mean, I feel like we're really just about to get things in this market real kicked up. You know,
I really think with everyone that we have involved in the community that's still here, still speaking out, still engaging, still out here. I mean, this is like, compared to other communities that I've seen outside of cryptocurrency, this is a very strong community. And I'm happy and I'm glad to be a part of it, to be able to contribute to it in some part. And again, look at the people that we have that are on the panel now, people that have spoken today, people that have their own channels, new influencers, still growing, more wallets, more things without Richard Hart really promoting. So I think this is really speaking volumes to what kind of community we have here today. So glad to be a part of it.
Oh, St.
All
Wolf
right.
and
So like that, we grow, you know?
Yeah.
What's up, gentlemen? How's it going?
What's up, guys?
Max, what's up?
Good to see you guys.
Yeah, no, this really is a strong community. We've been through so much. I mean, like, it's been 2 years now, and if you rewind before that, as everyone else here, like, are we making progress getting over our 2 more weeks PTSD?
It's been 2 weeks for
too soon.
Feels like my whole life.
Just 2 more weeks.
I think the good thing about our community, right, is we have like a base level of community members that are active in chat, active on X, active on Telegram. And I think our base level matches that of chains that are just launching. And then chains launch and they go way up through the roof. But when we have great news, we actually surpass that with volume of social interaction as well as volume on deck screener. I think that's pretty cool. So if we start taking some of the good news to heart, no pun intended, right? I think we should be doing pretty well in this coming year. May's a good month, I think. Yeah.
How about the new guys? Any thoughts? St. Wolf, Pulse Revision.
I'll tell you what, I've been streaming this on like 6 devices on 8 accounts, thumbing up, sharing it. I was an hour off. I apologize for being late, but I was streaming this stream while I was playing a game on my stream. So like, even when I'm streaming, I'm playing this stream today. So it's such great. And this panel is, like I said, I watch you guys and look up to everyone here on this panel. So to be here with you guys is a huge honor. And I feel like I should just sit back and listen. Like, this is one of the best panels I've seen all day.
RH Max has 7.2K on Twitter right now. Crispy Man restreaming. Thank you, buddy. He's got over almost another 1,000 people. We're probably close to 10,000 viewers at this point. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
That's amazing. What a great panel. Shout out to RH Max for putting this together. This is absolutely amazing. Cinco de Mayo. I know most of you gents, or I've just discovered you recently. Fast Abdul, know you very well. Pulse Revision, what's up? Just learned about AG Project. Corey, an investor. First time meeting you. Crypto Sloth, of course, been educating myself. Amazing educational videos out there. Triplet Dad 007, just met you last week on the show. Same Wolf Vision. Big Kurkowski, met you once before. What's up, brother? And Top Gun, first time meeting you. How you doing, man?
Good.
If you have not watched St. Wolf, his show is awesome. Take a look at it. I would highly advise it. It's very educational. There's a lot of people with contrary opinions, right? And they all get to talk and sort it out. It's badass. So
you'll let anybody on there. It's
he let us on, right? Which is I tried to convince Fast Abdul to wear a sombrero today, but he wouldn't do it.
A sombrero.
I caught up with St. Wolf. I've seen a lot of your streams in the past, but during our latest soap opera that we've had in this community, you set such a chill vibe for people like Fast Abdul and what's his name, Sami, and those guys to come on and just relax, like actually discuss things in such a great forum that people were able to come and get the information they wanted and form the opinions that they wanted to form and get some really good information so for you to set that vibe and tone, I absolutely love the stream. And of course, when people tip, the girls that come up, they're very pretty too.
They are, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, I like to think of it like you're just coming over to my place and it's my living room, you know. That's kind of the vibe. That's how I feel when I'm hanging out there. So I'm glad that you
That
guys
could
are
be the
feeling
most
that too.
complicated stream I've ever seen to run.
There's a lot going. There's quite a bit going on.
I haven't done this for a while, right? We've been streaming since before the sacrifice. That screen, I can't imagine what your control panel looks like.
It just evolved on its own, and it just kind of happened. Yeah. But I do lose my mouse quite often on stream, and it's actually a true story. I actually do lose it sometimes, and I just lost it just now. Like I don't have a mouse. I was going to text you guys when I got on stream, but I lost the mouse. It's gone, so it'll come back. So I do have some technical glitches that do happen because of it, but we try to make fun of it. So
you got to keep your mouse fed, or it's going to go looking for food.
Exactly. I think Fast Abdul said he's working on a replacement, that and an Oracle, and we should be good to go.
Need a new Oracle. We need a mouse. It keeps getting stuck on the screens with the hot girls for some reason. Again and again, every time.
And saw you guys that got stuck. It froze immediately as soon as the screen came up.
Where's the hot girls? So you guys feeling bullish or what?
Yeah. What? Am I the only one? Am I the only one?
No, Oh yeah. I mean, I feel like we've really like the reversal. We get that double bottom. I feel like we're really building up some real momentum here. I feel like it's I be surprised to see us go back down to those levels again. And so much interesting stuff on the horizon. We got Fed meeting and ETH upgrade on the same day coming up.
Come on now.
Yep.
Let's get the mouse.
Money printer is going to start.
Yeah, I think
it is.
The community here is like, it always reminds me of that meme with Leonardo DiCaprio and Wolf of Wall Street. Like, I'm not leaving.
Yeah,
so it doesn't matter how long this thing is taking. It's like we're all like, we're not leaving. It's thousands.
Oh, no.
It's kind of good when you get to a place where you know the downside is limited. It's a good comforting feeling there.
Yeah.
We can only get bullish from here, really. So
as long as it's not at zero, you still have a chance. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I'm feeling right now.
Yeah, it's like it feels really like we're very close to the very, as everyone always talks about it, the ever elusive alt season. I mean, if you're looking at Bitcoin dominant stuff, I mean, I think that it's going to top out here this year sometime.
It's got to top
just a
out.
matter of when.
Yeah,
got it. I had a line on there at like 64%, 62% when we like whipped up to that like early on, and I was like, "Oh, there we go. We're gonna fall in that." And now it is, and like, no, it's wrong. It's wrong.
I think we could see another maybe 2, 3, 4% move up more. It's about close to where it was, and I think
we
2021
could get all the way to 70%. I mean, like, I think that it could get up there. But like that's gonna look super parabolic. Like that's gonna look crazy parabolic, So like, I mean, it's a matter of when that breaks down. If it's like if June or if it's October, it doesn't really matter. Like when we look back in 2-3 years or whatever, it's not gonna. Who the fuck gives a shit when it breaks down? Yeah. But like it's going to, and you're gonna want to have exposure into altcoins at that time. You're not going to be wanting to wait and and then figure it out at that point in time. And and then you're going to be, oh yeah, of course. In hindsight, it's going to look super. Yeah, of course it got topped out there. But like at the moment, we're just feverishly waiting.
Yeah,
and that's, you start to feel some twinges of it, of people calling me that haven't called me for information about crypto stuff in a while. So I think that I think we're getting there.
Yeah, we're been through all the bad stuff. We're going to move forward from here.
Oh, go ahead, Fast.
I was just saying that Pulse chains, we've seen the worst of the worst as far as things that could happen to a chain, and now it's time for the best of the best, right? Like there's a chance that we could see RH streaming again. The SEC is done. Interpol soon after, I suspect. And we can start to see that, like, okay, maybe Bitcoin's going to hit an all-time high and it's going to flow into Ethereum. I know a guy who's got a lot of Ethereum who has an interest in Pulse Chain. I think good times could be ahead.
Yeah, who is it? Are you allowed to tell us who it is?
Well, it's not official, but I've heard a rumor that the Sackbags and RH have a lot of Ethereum, like a lot. Like
Really?
more
They
than
do. They're one of the
How
top,
much is a
top
lot?
holders. In fact.
How much is a lot for you, Fast? What, like 100?
I don't know the exact number. Sloth, do you know the number?
Yeah. Off the top of my head, it's over 100,000 for sure. It's like 171, I think. That's
Yeah,
my
there you
guess.
go.
Now, are you talking dollars or actual Ethereum?
Actual Ethereum.
Oh, well,
Pretty
that's
sure it's
a lot.
170,000 or so.
That's pocket change.
There we go.
In my opinion, there's too many evil sons of bitches buying Ethereum right now for it to fail. When you hear about like BlackRock and all these big boys coming in and buying Ethereum, they obviously know something we don't, and I believe that's why these prices have been so like depressed and artificially held down. So when you see a bunch of evil people and they get their bags full, I think that's when we're going to see Ethereum take off, and thanks to Hart's Law, it's going to rip Pulse Chain with it. So we're in the right spot for how bad it's been this year.
Say what you want about ETH. It's the thing that has all the liquidity in DeFi. I mean, if you want to get into DeFi, you pretty much have to go through ETH for the most part. Of course, other layer ones have their own, like, dollar liquidity on the centralized exchange. But for anything that you're pretty much doing on chain, the majority, the easiest way to move big money into DeFi is through Ethereum. If you want to build your own stuff, like let's just say these bad people that Hexray Vision or Pulse Ray Vision is talking about, they want to build their own things to be evil and extract all the value that they want. Well, a big thing that they'll need is Ethereum for their liquidity at the very least. Of course, they also have a ton of dollars at the side to be able to support their stuff. But Ethereum is the way to get the bulk of your money into DeFi as a whole. So that in of itself, say what you want about the tech of Ethereum or where it's at, or whatever ad homs you want to talk about Vitalik and his character, whatever you want to say, the liquidity is there, and that's not something that can be replicated very easy. That's something that takes time and confidence what's the word I'm looking for? It takes it's been time tested, battle tested, pressure tested, all of that stuff. So it works. It's here. It has the liquidity. So it just makes sense that at some point it will have its day in the sun. And the funny part is we don't even need a crazy ETH price for a big alt season anymore. Like we get back to $4,000 and we're all taking our pants off again. Like it's kind of funny how low Ethereum has to get for us to get excited again. Not to mention, start talking, want to test $10,000, which is like the big psychological number. So I haven't been worried about it. I look at the price. I'm like, I can't believe it's this low, like under $2,000 for this long. It shocks me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Sloth, where do you put the high mark of Hex on Pulse if this thing rips in this next bull run?
I mean, it's difficult to say. The Pampy.app thing has been a really good way to test like how much, if X amount of buy pressure comes in, how much price could pump. And Hex has the lowest liquidity of all of the core tokens on Pulse Chain right now, so it has the theoretical ability to do the most X's. The two unknown variables is how much money comes in and then how much sell pressure is met when that money comes in. And I think it's pretty obvious to feel like, oh yeah, of course people are going to sell. But for those of you who have been around for a while, like there are times when price goes up, continues to go up after big sells, and then everyone gets a little freaked out. We're like, wait a minute, I can't just sell. If I sell now, it's just going to go up afterwards. Like that kind of fear, that FOMO feeling is the sentiment shift that I think is almost necessary, or is the big indicator that like a lot of the sell pressure starts to dry up simply because people start to get scared that they're going to get left behind. And we haven't seen that yet in all of Pulse Chain quite yet. We haven't seen that monumental big sellers getting eaten up quickly. In my like monitoring of the charts, I do see it a little bit. Like there are small inklings of it where you see some of the wicks on Pulse Chain specifically when we test a specific resistance level, there's a big sell and it gets eaten up pretty quickly, but then there's no follow through, so it bleeds down. So there were it almost looks like someone's testing the market, or they're people testing the market, putting big buys in, seeing how the market reacts to see if it really is time to go from a capital efficiency perspective. You don't just want to dump your capital in for it to get sold as exit liquidity immediately afterwards. You have to be sophisticated with it and test the market, especially when we're talking about multi-million-dollar liquidity asset like Pulse Chain, which even though right now it's pretty low, that still takes a lot of real people dollars to get it up. So that's generally what I'm seeing.
Do you guys have any strategies for taking profit during this next bull, so we don't round trip 50-cent hex again?
I mean, it's Hex is pretty liquid, but it's pretty light liquidity right now, right? So if we go up a whole lot, even if there's a lot more liquidity at a later point in time, it's not a terrible idea if you're looking to get out of something to put it in a liquidity position and then just exit at the position that you feel like exiting at, and I mean, it does work. It takes more patience, but that's going to save you as far as slippage goes, especially if you're somebody who's got 6 figures plus in whatever we're talking about. That's something that is not a bad idea.
We've been seeing people trickle out on our OTC, right? People getting out of positions on an OTC is kind of not a bad idea. No slippage for buyers. Very little fees. It's a pretty responsible way for getting out of a position. So we've actually contacted Lance a couple of times to have him get his EHEX from BankX on our protocol and let us all nibble at it. We're trying to see that go through, but single-sided or V3 liquidity, or however you guys want to do that, it's pretty responsible way what Big K was saying, for sure.
People can use the OTC to set limit orders, basically. You could put your moon price on there, right? 10x, 50x from today, and have that be the number that was hit in the future, right? So you don't have to set it at the current rate. But as far as getting in and out, I think for most users, DCAing, dollar cost averaging in and dollar cost averaging out is probably the play. Nobody knows when the top's going to be. Some of us think we do, perhaps. We're probably wrong. So you're gonna miss the top. You're gonna miss the bottom. DCA in, DCA out. Probably be happier overall on average, I would suspect.
Real quick, I just want to ask the question, since I haven't heard it. I've been listening in and out. But what about the whole idea of the P-die narrative, where not getting out won't be a thing and just staying in a stable within the ecosystem or something? Or is that
sure?
Not gonna be
no, I mean, I'm not saying I have stable coin too. I made more money in crypto stuff than I have in traditional finance stuff. So whatever that means. But that doesn't mean it's you got risk on shit and risk off shit. So I don't think that you're just gonna be out of we're all gonna at some point in time take all our money out and pack it up and go home. That's not happening. So it's just different layers of at what point in time in the market you want to be sitting in stables, and how much yield are you going to make on those versus being in a risk on it. But you don't have to. I don't think that there's you got to leave crypto entirely. You just reduce or increase your risk based on the market.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think anybody has to leave Pulse Chain at all. We have enough native stables and bridge stables, and you have enough places where you can farm them to make additional yield. You could ride out the next bear market, 80% stables, and when you think the bottom is in and you deploy, the next bull market for Pulse Chain, if everybody follows a plan like that, could be insane.
Yeah, I think we have so much with just trying to be like the stock market as far as keeping our unrealized assets locked up, for one thing, and then having these websites like the OX Bistro, where we can put our tokens up without really affecting the market to help our price performance as well. So I'm just trying to think of all these small things that are being built up and built around this community and this ecosystem to actually really help it thrive. And people who really want to hurt the chain, you'll see them online outside of having all these, other ways to get out of the system. So.
Oh yeah, I mean they'll be the people that are looking to hurt the chain are the ones that are going to show you shit that is like what you mentioned, that is like clearly compromised protocols with terrible narratives that are visibly getting extracted. Like that shit is for the birds. And so like no like that like that's not great. And there's plenty of that. You can see that's not the only ecosystem and the only situation we've seen where someone said one thing and done another. And like I mean like and if you can't be careful investing in stuff like that and in other things, because like if you're not watching the chain yourself, then there's high likelihood you're gonna get burned. So just be careful.
Here's what
What other meme coins are you guys buying in our community? I know this is a RH Max stream, but memes need to be touched on. I know Copy probably touched on Top Hat, right? That one's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I got a bunch of meme stuff I like. I could talk about that all day. I like the Sparta shit. It's new. It's fresh. There's not very many people in it. Probably gonna do some X's. I like any of these. Like the thing that sucks is that I like the liquidity web idea. Like that you're basically just leveraging the Hart's Law idea with these projects. The problem is that when when there's 1,000 projects that come out and like you're like where the fuck is the liquidity? It feels like some 3-card money shit. You're like, where is the liquidity at? And how much is there? Is it actually just $1,000 played out 8 times over? And like that, like where is it? It's like I do like those things because they do work. Like if you're buying and burning tokens at a pretty high rate, and your liquidity paired to some stuff that's also going to pump. The problem is what we've seen is that you got to be whoever's putting those projects together has to be very cautious of what they're using, because obviously you compare your shit to something that's not great, and then they think you're super cool by burning liquidity and all the rest, and then you're like, oh man, so like that we've seen that happen on a couple different projects out there. So I don't know. I like that stuff for meme stuff. I feel like people that have any meme that's out there that has good content and like lots of it, is good. Like I like that. He's got to keep stuff's got to keep being fresh.
It put a lot of people in a bit of a dilemma, because you have everybody investing in the blue chips. PulseX, Hex, Ethereum, Hex, Inc. And then our founder launches a meme coin factory, right? And then launches his own meme coin, Most, right? Which is actually pretty cool. So I think
and to be fair to him in general, I mean, like if you'd looked on like what Pulse looked like up until then, I mean, the play had been like everybody had. We got a bunch of core coins, and the meme shit, these small project meme communities have really been the play for the past year some odd for Pulse. That's pretty clear in charts. Not every one of them's lasted or sticks around forever. Most things don't. I mean, that's the incredible staying power of Hex here, is that like there's very few tokens that like in crypto that I have owned and it's probably still in wallets long back. Tons of shit, tons of garbage out there. Cheese coin and Denta coin and just dumb stuff that you're and like most shit doesn't stick around. And like Hex has stuck around a lot, and like this community has been here. We said is as strong as it gets. There's like Bitcoin, ETH, and I guess Solana now. But like we're right there in all that cut as far as like its strength of community goes. Literally longevity, people that are willing to, that's the thing, is that like there's a lot of projects out there that like people are not going to be willing to talk about. They're willing to get a bag of it and hope it goes up, but like try and get them on screen, try and get them to be like, yeah, I totally love it, it's fucking fart coin or whatever. And like there's a lot of people who are like stray away from that, whereas like we have a huge community of people that are super dedicated to what they believe in. So I mean, that's pretty awesome.
I take personal offense on anybody who throws shades on DentaCoin. Okay.
Yeah.
Not while I'm in the room, guys. Okay.
Remember, I in like the 2017 bull run, I actually made some dough off of DentaCoin, so that's why it holds a special place in my heart. It was like one of those like, I'm explaining it to somebody like, this is ridiculous shit. As it was I'm like, and it's up 3x today. Holy shit, that was
about real world utility, guys. Oh,
yeah, some altcoin alt season madness right there.
Remember, the RH ecosystem is the only really ecosystem and tokens that have some clarity with the SEC and some, clarity in that respect. So, like, you have to talk about it in some respect because not too many other coins have that. So, I mean, I think that's our hill right there to stand on, really, for everything.
1,000%. I think that it's I mean, that's something that that's something that we forget. I forget that, like, man, Richard's been careful with his wording for 5 years to get to this place right now.
Yeah.
Like, I can remember him being like, man, I wish I could. He's like, I could tell you, I could say things that would make this price pump a lot more. He's like, I would love to. He's like, but I can't. I'm not going to. Like, I'm going to do the better thing and not say those things because I will, because he wanted regulatory clarity. He wanted that, and he got it. So,
you got it.
Yeah. We've got the pink mist well in our group. It's got a pretty chart. When we get some blood and carnage in Pulse, it seems to hang on just because the pink mist well, he's our patron saint. He's got most of the supply and he hasn't been dumping on anybody since the last time he could mint. So yeah, pink mist well is a lot of fun. It just goes to show what happens when people just don't sell. So
where was that created?
That's my favorite one.
Where was that created, Max?
That was created at Pump.Tires.
Nice.
So it's got about 30K liquidity there, but most of its liquidity is paired with our token. So
that's awesome. In the community here, I saw a comment on Max's hat. This is my hat, right? Brian McGruder, freaking, you're a badass, sir. Look at that. X on the bottom.
Community, champ since day one too. He's been around forever, making great shit. Yeah. I might grab a couple hats.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And also shout out to RG3. This is the cigar that was rolled at the golf event at the Pulse golf event.
Nice.
Smoking one of his cigars today.
Nice.
Very nice.
Shout out to RG3. He'll be on the conference tomorrow. I keep on saying show every time. I'm not used to hosting conferences. Keep on to say show. RG3 will be fighting for DeFi. He's got to talk tomorrow. A lot of great ones tomorrow.
And is this conference going to be a once a year thing or a biannual thing, twice a year?
It's a no expectations as of now. It's every 2 weeks. No, that'd be too much. Yeah, it's hard to say because there's not a website for it. I don't know if I'm gonna make one or not. Kind of because I was like, I don't think there's a lot of ROI for it, especially in now's macro environment. I think the original idea with this was more for the community to get excited and engaged and all that. But now we got like 7,000 or 8,000 watchers on X. I'm like, I think we may be onboarding some people outside the community. I'm not sure they're all us watching right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is killer that we have those numbers. I was super impressed, man.
It's great. So yeah, I'm not expecting the same tomorrow. We'll see. Although we have a lot of great content tomorrow. But today's Cinco de Mayo, 5/5/25. The whole thing, and that's what I wanted to end on today as well, is thinking about the future, what we're going to be doing, hopefully on the moon. Or Mars, I guess, maybe if you like Elon reference for 2055 on 5/5/55, which is a very special date. And hopefully not wrecking ourselves and all that good stuff. And also, I just did a poll on Twitter. I did a poll a couple weeks ago. You guys want a PulseX conference? Think about that. Almost 50% was no. It was like 40-60. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this poll again today and see if you all want a PulseX conference. We're going to do this again. We're going to run it back. And I imagine the results, the jury's still out. I imagine the results will be more favorable. But anyways, that being said, I don't know if we're going to do it again. We'll see. It's looking pretty good so far. A lot of great feedback. A lot of people seem to be enjoying it, regardless of up-only atmosphere or what we've been experiencing. And a lot of great participants. I didn't expect 40 plus people to apply, show up, come here. Again, we've got still tomorrow. We've had 20, 25 people so far, but you all really did put into work. Chat's been crazy. I'm sure there's a ton of questions we could have got to. We could be going for 6 more hours, but I've been impressed by the response. So we'll see. It's looking good though.
Nice work, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, Max. Man, let's do another one. I'm coming back.
I want you back, Corey. It'll be great. It'll be great. Yeah, I mean, with that being said, let's just go top to bottom real quick. 2055. One word to describe what you'll be doing in 2055. Top Gun all the way down to Pulse Ray. Let's kick it off. One word. What are you going to be doing in 2055?
Sleeping. Retirement.
Sleeping in because you're very comfortable enough to sleep and you don't have to work too hard.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Don't get angry with that.
I don't know, hip surgery. I'm sure.
Don't worry, sir. We have AI. We're going to solve hips and all kinds of stuff, and we got dentistry, and we got the tech. We got the tech and
perfect. Thank God.
All right,
Corey.
My word would be unbreakable, man. So
I like it. Unbreakable in 2055. I mean, again, if we invest in longevity tech, we'll be reversing aging, all that good stuff. So we may in fact be unbreakable. Hopefully not Benjamin Button unbreakable, and but hopefully in a very good, healthy way. Yeah, I like that. Crypto sloth.
Implants.
You're gonna be implants in 2055. Okay, I mean, a lot of ways you could take that. I'll take it though. I like it. You didn't say in a tree, so there's that. So.
You said one word, Max. I had to pick
That's true. That is three. 3 is more than one. Triple dad.
Building.
Ooh, that's a powerful one. I like that. I like that building. Well, you've been building a lot so far, so I can imagine 30 more years of this. It's gonna you're gonna have it maybe an empire. You never know.
We're building. We're not stopping.
I like it. Fast Abdul.
Grandchildren. Dozens and dozens of them.
If you don't have them, the world may die off without enough humans. So I'm glad sounds like you're looking forward to doing your part or working on it otherwise. So
yeah. I'm the Genghis Khan of Northern Canada.
That is quite a title. Okay. All of his positive attributes. We'll go with that.
Swimming.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like swimming. Swimming in maybe a beautiful warm sea that we're off your yacht. Yeah.
It's a low impact exercise. I like it. When I'm old, I'll still be able to swim.
There you go. Swimming good for the hips. There's a crossover there.
Yeah. See, there you go.
Yeah. Pulse ray vision.
I'm going to stick with the name of this panel, community. Like I can only imagine what the community is going to be in 30 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Probably my grandchildren, I would expect.
Wow. Maybe every 5
at least
years.
36 of them.
We have a rebirth. We have a rebirth every 5 to 10 years. Coming in, who you have to. It's like Ponzi scheme in a good way, where it's like Social Security. You got to pay for all the old people. You all have to go through a little bit of what we went through, but you're gonna have a better life. Just like we're the boomers at that point.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Nice, man. Nice.
All right, everyone. We got to wrap this up. It is 4 o'clock. 6 hours of content stream where it says 6 hours, 5 minutes, 57 seconds. I'm gonna pull you all out.
Congratulations, brother. Congratulations.
Yeah, and I'm clapping for everybody. Let's clap for the whole community. Let's clap for everyone who made this possible. It ain't me up here just talking. I've actually tried to get more breaks. Appreciate you all. And don't forget to come up. Don't forget to come back tomorrow if you're scheduled, or if not, just come in the chat and be a positivity force for positivity, all that fun stuff too. I'm gonna take you all out, do my closing remarks, and we're gonna call it a day. We're gonna come back tomorrow stronger than ever. I'm very excited about that. So appreciate you, gents, and I'll see you all later.
Thanks,
everybody.
Thanks.
And then there was one. All right, everyone. I've had a couple breaks, so that's about all I need. I'm happy to call it a day at this point, though. I want to say there's been a lot of ups and downs, but it's been mostly ups. I mean, Richard tweeted twice about he tweeted the X one and also the YouTube link. Hopefully he'll do the same tomorrow. That'd be fun. No expectations, but that'd be nice. We have a great lineup for tomorrow as well. I put the link in the chat. Feel free to go check it out. A lot of Hex content as well. Some of the same people today you'll see tomorrow. And chat, I appreciate you. I've not seen a lot of riffraff at all, and it seems a lot of people really appreciate the chance to connect, learn, have some fun. We got some fun videos and some other fun stuff be coming up tomorrow. And yeah, I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for. By the way, StreamYard says just hit 9,000. Again, how accurate that is. Add them all up. I don't know, but I swear every time I look at X, it's got 7,000 or more. So it's just amazing. These numbers, if you've been following me for a while, they don't mean a lot to me. It's always nice to see, but I really want to make a contribution. I want to make an impact. And I do things differently than a lot of people, and I don't follow the trends, and I'm not interested in a lot of new shiny objects and stuff like that. And I think somebody's got to do it. Like, I appreciate everyone here building, believing, making sure whatever the ideals that they're voting for are represented and are, people know about them and all that stuff. And I'm going to keep doing the same. I think as long as we do that, as long as we keep building, creating, hanging out, high-fiving in a permissionless, innovative, eye on the prize way, we don't have to always be rowing in the same direction, but let's at least be, in the same body of water. Let's try to find some common ground there, because there's a lot of amazing stuff that we can do in this community. Let's keep it going. Let's see where we can go with this thing. Let's really take it. Pulse Chain, Hex, regardless of when RH is streaming, regardless of what anyone else thinks around the ecosystem, regardless of what we have to do to go out of our way to show people the greatest place on earth, make sure when you show them, you point it over here. You point it towards what they need to know to get in, be successful, and hopefully get the maddest of gains. And find the best, find friends, find community, find purpose, whatever it is you're looking for. I go back to my opening remarks this morning. What's your North Star? I challenge everyone out there, find out why you are here and go do it, go win. Winning really is a mindset. We're proving that more than anything else right now. So that's all I got for you today. Oh, let's do the intro. Let's just do the intro for the outro this time. I really like this intro. Shout out to Pulse Wave AI. I believe I retweeted his content as well. I got a lot of great stuff. Appreciate everyone for the contributions. Again, come back at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. We got a lot more content to do. That's all I got for you today. We'll go out on this one.
Welcome to Pulse Conference 2050.